As I build my coaching business, I want to know how to effectively serve clients and make more money doing it. This podcast will pull back the curtain to reveal exactly how successful coaches are building their empires. Join me as I engage with top coaches from all over the world to discover their secrets. No theatrics and no theory, just real life strategy. My name is William Winterton, and this is Coaching Success Radio. Hello, welcome to the show. It is William, and today on Coaching Success Radio, I have a guest who is a freedom coach, and she works to empower women to ditch the 9-to-5 grind that they get stuck in. And she is super passionate about what she does and excited to share her story. This is Denise LaRue.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me, William.
Denise, thanks for joining me on the show. And so this is your second podcast. So as we said before, a little seasoned professional and doing this full time. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about what you do, like how you got into the coaching world.
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically, I was a woman who I'm kind of like a normal woman. I went through a lot of the normal things that many women go through. About, 13 years ago, I ended up getting divorced, which of course, when you get married, that's not something you plan for, but it's where I was, and I had 2 young children. I had been a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to continue to be a stay-at-home mom. So I decided to venture into the entrepreneurial world, and I actually started an event planning business, which was great, and it was fun, and it was going really well until 2008. We hit the recession, and it really hit not only my business, but me. And what I've learned since then is that I did not have a strong enough foundation within myself to be able to withstand those changes that were happening in my business. And so financially, I was struggling. I ended up having to claim bankruptcy, and I went back to the corporate world, which is where I had been prior to having my children. So I was back in corporate. Things were going really well. I was rebuilding. I was able to buy a new home. I was able to provide an amazing life that most people looked at and thought I had like the perfect life on paper. But what people didn't see is that I was slowly dying on the inside. I was having anxiety and migraines and all kinds of health problems. And they were all a result of being in a toxic environment that just was not serving me. And so I kept ignoring all of the signs of, letting all the signs were there that I needed to move on. But I was so scared to make a change because I didn't want to ever have to go back to bankruptcy. And so I was too scared to make a change. I was a single mom. I had 2 teenagers at the time. And finally what happened is one day I was pulling into the parking lot at work, and I actually had my very first panic attack. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I knew in that moment that I had to make a change. And so I walked into the CEO's office, and I resigned from my 6-figure salary that day with no plan, no job, nothing. I just did it. And after that, I felt this amazing relief for a couple of days, and then the panic set in of, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And so I ran out and I got the very first job that I could find. And about a week into my new job, I started to feel all of the same feelings again. And I realized that while, yes, the environments that I had been working in were not the best environments for me, what was really going on was actually something that was inside of me, because I was carrying it with me to my new job. So clearly there was something, I was the common denominator there. So something was going on. So I actually hired a coach, and he helped me kind of sort through a lot of the hidden traumas that I had experienced throughout my life that were sort of surfacing in my adult life and in my career, and helped me to realize what my life's purpose is. And it turns out that my life's purpose is to help other women love and respect themselves enough to follow their life's purpose. And so that's what I do. I coach other women to overcome their fears, to ditch that 9-to-5 grind, and to follow their purpose so that they can live a life of freedom like I am living now.
What a powerful story to be able to talk through and share with your clients, share with your prospects anyway, and let them
Yes.
know that, look, I've been there. It's a lot of what coaches do, right? We go through it all and we're like, man, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want anybody else to go through that again.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do everything in my power to help that
Yes.
not happen to somebody else.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was awesome. So getting this started and getting your business, how long have you been doing your coaching for women?
So I started in April of this year.
Okay.
So I'm just wrapping up my fifth month in the business, and it has been a journey.
Yeah, tell me about it. What's been like getting things started? Because again, I just want to preface this: a lot of our audience is very much in the situation that you're in. They're newer or they're getting their business up and running. So there's a lot of pressure on ourselves. We see a lot of things online that tell us like, oh, I can make this much money in this short amount of time and I can do all these things. But then you start going and living it. So talk us through a little bit about how you got things kind of running and going for yourself.
Yeah, so I was one of those people who thought like, oh, it'll just take a couple months and, I'll establish a brand and it'll be great, and people that I talked to were like, oh my gosh, you'll do so well. Everybody needs somebody like you. So I was really getting sort of this inflated idea of how quickly this was all going to sort of come together. And actually what ended up happening is in my first 4 weeks in the business, I got my first client. And so
nice.
It was awesome. And it reinforced for me that, oh my gosh, like I should have done this years ago. This is so great. And it is, and it's fun. But I'll be very honest with the audience. I didn't get my second client until yesterday. So I went from this like amazing high of in my first 4 weeks, I got my first client and she paid in full and oh my gosh, to, 4 months later, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to go back to corporate? Like what is going on here? And yesterday, like I said, I got my second client. So that was a huge win and a huge, honestly, relief. And it's been hard. It's been a lot harder than I expected. And one of the things that I've learned through this process is the importance of your mindset. And having someone to coach you through that, because like we're all coaches, right? We know that people need coaches because they don't see their own blind spots. Well, we're also human. And so we need coaches to help us get through our blind spots. And so it's really with the help of my coach. I actually have two coaches who have helped me maintain and improve my mindset to keep me going. My attachment pattern is one of anxious attachment. And so I'm very quick to want to just give up and try something new. And so they help me stay focused on my goals, on my why, and they kind of don't allow me to quit.
It's awesome. So you said you have two different coaches. What do they specifically coach you in?
So one is very specifically in mindset and healing trauma. And then the other is a business coach who has sort of helped me establish my social media presence and just sort of helped me figure out, because that was a world that, I played on Facebook prior to becoming a coach where I just had fun, but I didn't really fully understand the depth of what it takes to build a brand online. And so she's helping me do that.
Awesome. And It is super important. I think we get that mindset as a coach sometimes that, we should have all the answers, right? And yet the answer's right in front of us. We are obviously helping people out of their own stuff. So why would we think that we don't need that as well? Right?
Exactly.
Right. And I'm the same way. I've got a coach as well. I think it's the only way you're going to grow yourself, because like you said so well, you can't see your own blind spot, and somebody else looking at it might just say, hey, here's what you need to fix. So super good. And congratulations on getting a second client. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so how did that come about? How did you end up finding the second client?
Yeah, so I part of my marketing strategy is to have a private Facebook group. And within that group, it's basically made up of my, my avatar, my target audience. And so, but what I do in the group is I offer tons of support, tons of value. And every week I do a segment where I'm coaching on something, a topic that really the group kind of votes on. And so I'm, putting 3 or 4 topics out there and saying, hey, what do you want to hear next week? And they vote. And so it's a really good rhythm that I've started with. And really my second client came out of that group, where after one of my weekly sessions, she private messaged me and said, I'd like to work with you. And so it took us some time to get her across the finish line, but she, yesterday finally made the commitment.
That's wonderful. Awesome. So where do you want to go now? You're not working corporate at all? You're doing
Not
this?
at all.
Awesome.
No,
So,
not at all.
so that's got to be, well, how does that feel? How does that, I want to answer for you, but just talk me through that a little bit.
So it's such a mixed bag of emotions. I mean, it is like such a freeing feeling to know that I'm my own boss. My time is my own. Time freedom is hugely important to me, as it is to a lot of people. So that part of it I love. But the uncertainty of when am I going to get revenue is definitely a little bit unnerving. And so I would say it's been a huge mixed bag of emotions. And one of the things that I'm realizing is obviously, I got my second client, which is great. But you can't just ride that wave. You've got to, keep doing the actions every day, just as though you never signed that second client, and just keep going. It's consistency. And, that's the thing that I've learned probably the most over this past 5 months, is just the importance of consistency and showing up and adding value, and not approaching each opportunity as, oh my gosh, am I going to get money? Am I going to get a sale? Because that just, I spent my whole career in sales. And so I know that when you start to get desperate, that it is, it comes across. No matter how hard you try to not have it come across, it does. And so I go into, this is a little trick that I'd like to share with your audience. I go into every single call, every single Facebook Live, or whatever I'm doing. I go into it, and right before I hit the live button, I'll say to myself, you have $10 million in the bank and you're living off the interest. And that's my mindset as I go into whatever it is I'm doing, because it just releases that pressure of the money. And I can then go out there and add the value that I really want to add to my audience.
That's a wonderful, wonderful mindset. Thank you for sharing that, because
Sure.
It is. It's very nerve-wracking. Clearly you have to eat, right? And clearly the people you're working for, right. I mean, obviously, but it's like you also are. There's this mind game that we play with ourselves as coaches, and I'm starting to see this a lot with the clients I'm working with. Is like you do all this work, and then you get onto the strategy session, or you get onto these calls, and you're freaking out because you got to talk about the money I'm going to charge. I'm going to talk about I need it, and your mind starts playing all these loops. But if you go in with the mindset of, look, this is something I'm here to help you.
Right.
I don't, if I get you as a client, or if I don't get you a client, it's not my money. It's your result that I'm after, right? It's getting you what you need more than, if you live in a mindset of abundance, that you're going to be fine. And all you're trying to do is help them get results. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Total shift, isn't it?
It really is. It helps a lot.
Wonderful. I'm so excited for you. That's so good. And so now that you've had this breakthrough and you've got this group, and you can start getting people and start nurturing your own traffic. So that's fantastic.
Yes, exactly.
So in, I don't know, 12, 24 months, what do you really want to do? What's the exciting thing on the horizon for you?
Yeah.
If you could do anything.
Yeah, so a year from now, my goal is to have a podcast like you. I'd love to have a podcast. I really would love to be on the speaking circuit. I love public speaking. And so any opportunities that I can get to speak, I take them. I mean, literally, I spoke at a library recently, because why not, right?
You whispered in the library, right? You didn't actually speak out loud in front of anybody, because that's a violation of
right, exactly. But
no, awesome.
Yeah, and I look at every opportunity as you never know why the universe is pointing you in that direction, right? Like,
right.
Who knows who was going to show up at the library that day? So it's really, for me, about not turning down opportunities, not prejudging, and just knowing that if an opportunity presents itself, there's probably a reason, and I need to just take it. And so that's kind of how I've approached a lot of the opportunities that I've sort of had. But so 12 months from now, I want to be on the speaking circuit. I want to have my own podcast. And I would love to be in a position where I need to hire support. I need to hire people to work with me.
That's awesome. Well, Denise, I think you're well on your way. And you've got, like you said, you've got your team already started. You got a couple of coaches to help you. And what people don't realize too is that is a huge part of your team, right? That is their lifeblood to you. And you would attest to that.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think that, if you're working with a coach who's not also working with a coach, that's a red flag. And so I think, it's really important that we are sort of walking our talk. And
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I am super excited. I'm glad that you came on the program today. And when you get ready to launch your podcast, let me know. I'd love to come on and join you.
I would love that. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Denise. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go ahead and pause it there and hold on 1 second as my phone doesn't.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. New episodes are coming out every few days, including lots of conversations with massively successful coaches sharing their secrets with you. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel so that you don't miss out. And if you're looking for a way to start making serious money from your coaching, you need to check out my free training. It's at williamwinterton.com. I lay out the step-by-step on how to start making 5 figures a month in the next 60 days. Check it out, williamwinterton.com. I'll see you next time.